Good morning, guys, and welcome. Today, we're going to be doing a little presentation with you between Quattro and ActionCOACH. Trevor will be speaking shortly after me. Just a bit of housekeeping. If you do leave the room to go to the loo, please just wear your mask so that we don't have the hotel up in arms. We've had a little QR code thing which you guys were going to download at the reception area for Kahoot. The screen's gone blank. And we need the code. So if you have the Kahoots, but you don't have the code, please would you put it in? I'll read it to you quickly in the meantime. Have you all on your phones ready with your Kahoots? If you don't have the code, it's 00 688 733. So we're going to be, throughout the presentation, there's going to be a few little questions, a little bit of fun, and there is a hamper for the winner at the end. If there's a tie break, then we're going to do heads and tails to see who the winner is. So that's the code for the Kahoot. And if you're stuck and you need some help with it, you can just chat with Roxanne at the back there, and she can assist you. Craig, stop watching those videos. It's my turn now. See? All right, so it's just a short little introduction video to the group. We actually have on the video 8 financial services companies that are represented, but we have 9 businesses within the Quattro group itself. Each one of these businesses specializes in different aspects of financial services. So you don't end up with this generalist approach. In financial services, there are so many components or aspects to business, finance, law, and accounting that for any one individual to be able to offer the true expertise that you need as a client would be impossible. You physically cannot be a jack of all trades, master of none. So Quattro has been built on these 8 or 9 financial services companies in order for you as a client to enjoy specialized advice in every single aspect of your journey as an entrepreneur or just as a general client. And we do everything from accounting and business intelligence to law, right the way through to things like investments, stockbroking internationally, stockbroking locally, life insurance, pension funds, provident funds, every single thing that you could possibly think of that you would require as a client or a business owner. You may have a point of contact that you deal with, but that point of contact will then introduce you to the specialists that you need in order to fulfill whatever need it is that you may have. You're not dealing with an individual. You actually now have the ability to deal with a group. You have the entire company's expertise at your disposal. We fit in between your lawyer, your accountant, and your financial plan to make sure that every one of these expertise is taken into account when designing a plan. And the reason for this is very simple. Business is often done with your accountant. Your statutory stuff, your shareholders agreements and MORs done with your lawyer. And then your financial advisor sells you a whole lot of insurance policies. And the problem is none of the 3 people ever meet to see what they've done and actually see if what they've done conflicts with what your ultimate plan is. So we bring these 3 areas together under a microscope and we push a button that says die. And we watch how all the cards unfold in your life or become disabled or retire. So we run the scenarios and we find these inconsistencies before it's too late. So that's the idea of the group. Now, how we fit into this discussion today, if you look at Quattro and then you look at ActionCOACH, we fulfill 2 completely different roles, yet they complement each other. Quattro is a place, let's call it an incubation cell for a business owner. It's a place where you can plug your business in and have all these areas of expertise taken care of without having to resource it yourself internally. Also, it gives you the ability to scale your business to levels that you would ordinarily not have been able to do. Most entrepreneurs are limited in terms of their business by their acumen and their knowledge and their pocket. But when you plug into a group like Quattro, you now have all these expertise that can take you to different levels where you could list your business, merge your business with another business, sell your business, acquire new businesses. But you can start to strategize in your business. You can also start to have a true deep understanding of what your business actually does and what financial ratios you need to make sure are looked after for your specific business with things like business intelligence programs. By the way, if the flashing makes you epileptic, we do have a medic in the back. I do apologize. I don't know why this is flashing all the time. There are HR people here and someone's going to be fired. So we will find them. So the journey of Quattro, guys, is literally from the foundations of your business right the way through to the bricks and mortar and end up building your roof. We are the architect of your financial plan for business or for personal. ActionCOACH then take your building from a 1-story to a 3-story building. They help you as the business owner grow your business, look at other strategies that you might want to adopt, things like marketing as an example, not a financial services thing, but what is your marketing? What is your recruitment? What is your training processes, your mentorship, whatever it might be? So it takes the entrepreneur from a 3 business to a 10 business. But you need both. It's no use running off and getting ActionCOACH to build you this monster business if your foundations are totally rotten. And at the same time, it's no use just building a small little business and trying to struggle when you've got resources that can take you to different levels. So both work very, very well hand in hand. What we discuss in terms of a financial services offering really comes down to the business protection plans. You as a business owner are exposed to certain risks in business. Sadly, many entrepreneurs have got no clue about business, but understand a trade. So as an example, I was talking to these two lovely ladies over here earlier. They are in HR and recruitment. And because of COVID, an opportunity arose for them to start a brand new business. They are phenomenal at HR. They're phenomenal at recruitment. But what expertise have they got of actually owning a business? Understanding shareholder agreements, memorandum of incorporations, when there's a dispute, when you resign, when you retire, if your shares are up for sale, if someone dies. Those things are extremely important to understand when you're a business owner. The types of products that you use in your business, also very, very important. Certain products are designed for very specific reasons. You can't screw a screw in with a spanner. It doesn't work. The spanner is designed for a thing, and a screwdriver is designed for something different. You need the right tools for the right jobs. And we help and guide you to make sure you're using the correct tools to achieve your objectives. Again, big pitfalls to look out for, and then the implementation of the correct structure. Now, ActionCOACH and I have been doing this, or Quattro have been doing the series, and this is the last part of the series, but we've covered a whole lot of topics that you may have missed out on. Don't stress. We're going to be covering those topics again in the weeks to come, months to come, and you'll be more than welcome to come and attend any one of those. But in financial services, one of the very important things that people have got a misconception of is people sell me insurance policies all the time. And I don't want to buy insurance policies all the time. I've got other things I need to spend my money on. The true financial services industry and the proper financial advisor actually needs to take your assets that you've already accumulated and mobilize them to be able to fulfill your financial plan. And if there's not enough money from that, then you will look at insurances to top up the differences. So as an example, if I was to die today and my wife Jackie needed 40,000 Rand a month, I would need roughly 10 million Rand in order to invest to generate her the 40,000 Rand a month income until her death. My business is worth 3 million. When I die, my business gets sold. I've got the 3 million, but I'm still short 7 million. Then I will borrow money from the insurer. I'll pay them a premium and they'll give me 7 million life cover. When my business value grows to 8 million, I now only need to borrow 2 million from the insurance company. So I reduce my life cover to 2 million just to top up the shortfall. Most financial advisors, sadly, don't do that. They just go and sell you 10 million Rands worth of life cover and forget about the business. And the main reason is because a lot of advisors have never owned a business, don't understand business, so they avoid it. Where we as Quattro specialize with business owners and entrepreneurs. We understand your needs, your challenges, your aspirations. So what we're going to discuss today is an exit strategy and retirement. This is how you're getting out of your business. This topic is massive and we're not going to cover everything. But what we are going to cover just some fundamentals or some ideas which you'll be able to potentially take home with you and get consultation at a later stage through one of us. So the big question with retirement is why do I need to plan for retirement? Well, retirement's coming whether you like it or not, unless you die before 65. But ultimately, retirement's going to come. Many entrepreneurs have got the mindset of, I'm never going to retire, I'm going to work forever. Now, my father was a case who didn't have enough for retirement. So his get out of jail free card was, I'm going to work until I die. The sad thing was, between 65 and 74, he had 2 heart attacks. He had coronary artery surgery, early stages of dementia, and as a result was unable to work until he died, just because of health and the food that my mom made him. The next thing with retirement that people often forget, they think that they're going to be expense-free. I sit with people who earn 100 grand a month, and when they retire, they tell me they need 25,000 rand a month. And one of the things that we do is get some perspective into what is your actual requirement at retirement. How do you lose 75% of your expenses? Hopefully you bond free by the time you retire. Hopefully the kids have left home. Please, Jesus, may they have left home. Okay. But you still have lights, water, food, medical aid, clothing, car, petrol, insurance on the house, insurance on the car. You probably want 2 cars. I don't know how many married couples have survived COVID, but living together 24 hours a day with your spouse can be challenging. Okay. Normally, you both go to work for the day and only really communicate for 3 hours and go to sleep. And that's cool. But when you're retired and you're stuck in each other's company all day, you're going to find 2 cars very, very, very valuable. Okay. I have clients of mine who say to me, you know what? My whole working life, I wasn't allowed to play golf. Now, my wife tells me to go and play golf, because I keep fiddling in all the affairs at the house. She's like, leave me alone. I've run this house for 35 years. What are you doing? Get out, you know? So you need 2 cars. Another big problem we've got, and this is a generational problem and also a South African problem. We spend every flippin' cent we've got, and if we haven't got enough, we borrow and spend that as well. We try and spend every single cent and get the best things we can get today for today and don't worry about tomorrow. We're very lucky in South Africa. We don't have a social security. We don't have a dole system. We have nothing. When I matriculated, I knew I wasn't cuck. I knew retirement was coming at 65 and there was no helping hand. So I had an opportunity to fix it and know that I needed to start saving. People in places like Europe didn't have that luxury. They expected their dole system to look after them. And all these social security and dole systems overseas are imploding. They can't afford the people that are using them. So people are getting to retirement and they're going, sorry, work 10 more years. Sorry, you can't get your income. You're going to get a third of it. So we're very fortunate that we have nothing. And we're very fortunate we've been given the opportunity to fix it. But for goodness sake, take the opportunity and actually go and fix it. If you leave it, you're going to end up with a problem. Some of the retirement type things that we look at in a general business owner entrepreneur portfolio are things like retirement annuities, pension funds, preferred compensation plans, provident funds, their property portfolio, their business interests. There's a couple of other ones as well. These are just some very common ones that people use as part of retirement. And what we do as Quattro is understand all of these things. We understand that the South African philosophy of a boer maak 'n plan runs deep in everyone's veins. And we're always looking for that sexy thing. When you go to the bra, it's lekker to talk about your property portfolio in Croatia and your share portfolio in Yugoslavia. And when you don't go to the bra saying, yes, you know, I've got a retirement annuity. It's wonderful, looks lovely. It's a piece of paper, shoved, that's British, eh? It's shoved under my desk in my drawer. No one worries about products. They like the sexy stuff. The problem we've got as business owners, though, is we are exposed to business risk. How many business owners become arrogant about their business, overconfident about their business, and suddenly the business falls into hard times? COVID has highlighted that. COVID was a big magnifying glass for a lot of things, where people found all the holes that they had overlooked in their businesses. You have to have 2 plans when you retire. And we want to make sure that you understand these 2 plans very clearly and that they are very clearly separated. The first one that you have is your have to have plan. That keeps you sane It keeps you comfortable, and it keeps you non-dependent on your children. When I started my working career, I was 17 years old, 3 months away from my driver's license, and I was in real estate. And it was quite funny. I actually used to get into my client's car and go with them, and they never quite understood. But if there were more than 2 people, I wasn't allowed to take passengers. So I'd climb in their car, and they'd be going like, this is a bit weird. I don't want to tell them I didn't have a driver's license. But I noticed, I worked in Pinetown, that's where I grew up, that every second house had a granny flat. And the last thing I wanted to do was to go live in a granny flat. The one reason is that they're very small and pokey. And number 2, I'm not a granny. And I didn't want to do that operation to become one. So you need a have-to-have plan to keep you out of granny flats and keep you out of your children's pockets. A have-to-have plan has got to have a couple of things in place. Number 1, it's got to have security. You've got to know if your business goes belly up, you will not lose everything. It needs protection from creditors. Pension, provident, and retirement annuities afford you that protection. So if you're a business owner and you do not have pension, provident, or retirement annuity savings, you are crazy. Because there are businesses 100 times bigger than yours that have imploded, that have closed their doors. You've seen them historically throughout the world that have closed their doors. So don't for 1 second think that your business is your safe haven. Remember, your business is a share. If I went to you and I said to you, take all your money and I want you to invest it in the stock market on 1 share, you'd go, are you mad? I'm not sticking all my eggs into 1 basket. Well, as an entrepreneur, you are, because your business is 1 share. It's a business. And you're putting all your time, all your effort, everything into it. Your business gives you a wealth creation, wealth generation tool. It helps you grow your asset base and it helps you earn income. But what you've got to do is externalize your wealth from your business. You've got to make sure that when you're banking in your business, some of the money comes out and gets invested elsewhere into safe havens to diversify. No one's gone broke diversifying. Spread your risk. The next part of the plan is the want to have plan. This is the aspirational side of your retirement. This is where you can sell your business when you retire, cash in your share portfolio, live off your property portfolio. But if you get it messy in your life, I will repossess every single one of the things that you have in your want to have plan, because it offers absolutely no protection whatsoever. As a creditor, I can repossess your granny, your goldfish, and your golf. I can take everything from you, but I can't touch your have-to-have plan. So if your retirement objective is 100,000 a month and you need to put food on the table 40, you plan the 40 in your have-to-have plan, and then the 60 we go and have fun with. And we build your property portfolio with you. We build your share portfolio with you. And then we look at your business and how you're going to grow it and how it's going to form part of your retirement strategy. All right, a question for you guys. You can answer on Kahoot. And I hope it works, by the way. This is our first test run on it. So if it doesn't work, I apologize. What percentage of people will be able to retire comfortably? Where's the question, Rox? I mean the answer. Right? On their thing. Okay, on their phones. I'm learning. Sorry, guys. I can use WhatsApp. That's about it. Okay, what percentage of people will be able to retire comfortably? You can just choose the one. The code was the first slide that I showed you. Ready? 00. There we go. On the slides. There you are. Okay, we got it. Isn't it? It's flashing. Okay. All right. So planning for inflation. I want you to understand this, just so you can contextualize it. You can multiply this out. You can do what you want to do. This is very layman's term explanation of how money works when you retire. If your business is worth $1 million when you retire, and you came to us and said, invest it for us. And we got the R1,000,000 and we invested it and got a 12% growth on the money. This is just an illustration, okay? 12% growth. You want to make sure that there is an increase in your income every year to keep up with inflation so you can buy the same eggs and bacon you bought the year before. We take 7% of your 12 and we leave it in the pot to draw the next year. You're now left with 5%. Then you've got your asset management fees, the people who charge you to invest your money. Let's say they charge you 0.5%, which is probably one of the lowest you'll pay. 0.5%, you're now left with 4.5%. 4.5% of R1,000,000 is 45,000 Rand per annum. Divided by 12 is 3,750 Rand a month. So for every million that you're going to have when you retire, you're going to get roughly 4 grand a month. Okay, so just bear that in mind. And you can use this for the sale of your business, your retirement savings, death. If I leave my wife with R1,000,000, she's going to get 3,750 Rand per month. Disability, the number works the same. We've got big fancy computers that work out things like life expectancies and drill it down properly, but this is a very simple way for you to get a thumb suck. Okay. So ladies, if your husband says to you, don't worry, babe, it's sorted. When I die, I'm worth more dead than alive. You're going to get 2 bar. You're going to get 8 grand a month. Okay. That's going to pay for medical aid. What you do is say, babe, stand like that. And then you kick him as hard as you can in the gajulies. Okay. Make sure he ends up with 3 Adam's apples. And then book for us to come and see him. All right. Here's another thing about inflation, just to give you some perspective. In 1970, 1,000 Rand bought you a brand new VW Beetle. In 1980, you had to ride to work instead of drive, and you probably got cold and wet, but you could buy a bike. In 1990, a bicycle, so you're cold, wet, and probably tired, but fit. In 2010, you could actually run to work. You were very late, very wet, very cold, and very fit. But in 2020, you're actually in cuck because your feet are sore now and you've worn your socks out, because 1,000 Rand will buy you a pair of compression socks. So you've literally gone from a car to a pair of socks with 1,000 Rand, just with inflation. Now, I know, like my parents, they really battled with inflation. They didn't understand it. We didn't have people like us running around with computers forecasting inflation. My school fees in 1980, 12 Rand a year at Benjamin Pine Primary School. And if you had 3 children, it was 16 Rand a year for all 3. Now we're paying 11 grand for grade 5 at Harbury. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I am. I can't wait to get to grade 7. And the teachers are hot. Here's another example of inflation. Someone who wants to earn 20,000 Rand a month. This person is 35 years old. They want to earn 20,000 a month when they retire. And we increase that every year with inflation just to see what they actually need as a salary. They need 152,000 Rand a month to buy 20,000 Rands worth of stuff in today's terms. And if you look at the bottom, at 85, which is close to life expectancies of most, it's nearly 600,000 Rand a month. So the question again for Kahoot. Next question. Is your business part of your retirement plan? Designing an exit strategy. This is a very big topic, but something that you need to sit and actually do a full consultation with. Every business is different. Every business has different nuances. The first question we ask is your business saleable? If I'm a dentist, as an example, I have got patients. When I get to retirement age, can I just sell my patients to somebody else and exit? Or will the patients just go find another dentist? My dentist is my dentist for one reason only. I trust him. And we've got actually 2. I trust him and we have an agreement. If he hurts me in the chair, I hurt him in the parking lot. That's the deal, okay? I'm scared of my dentist, but we have a relationship. If he goes and the new guy who's bought him comes in and I don't trust him, I won't use him. The same as my lawyer, the same as my architect, the same as my doctor. So certain occupations or certain businesses aren't necessarily saleable at face value, but they could be with structure, with design, with succession planning. So we would sit with you and look at your business. Another question to ask, are you in business with a partner? Do you have a business partner? Other shareholders? When they retire, are they older than you or younger than you? Because if you're the older one, you have a problem if your younger ones can't afford to buy you out. And you also have a problem if you're the younger one, if you can't afford to buy the older one out. And these need to be discussed now, because if they're not, they cannot form part of your retirement plan. You can't say, I'm going to sell my business. It's going to grow 10% a year every year. It's worth 10 million rand now. When I retire, I'm going to get 35 million if you're actually not. We always use the analogy of the surfer. You know, the surfer goes out and it's freezing cold. He puts his wetsuit on. For the guys, you'll know this more than the girls. They put their wetsuit on and it keeps them a bit warm and they get to backline, but they're still cold. Do you know that they actually urinate in their wetsuits to keep warm? Okay. Now, it sounds disgusting and understand, but they're warm. So they've got this nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. But the reality is that they're weeing on themselves. Okay. And it's the same with business. If you don't have a plan to execute to sell your business, it's just a warm, fuzzy feeling, but you're weeing on yourself if you can't sell it. It's not going to be part of your plan. Is your business going to be too small for a corporate to buy? Are you going to be that insignificant that a big player is not really keen to buy your business? Or the converse, maybe your business is too big for your shareholders to buy, your remaining shareholders or your management team or whoever you've got in your business. You need to understand it and start putting strategy in place for it. So is your business part of your plan? Is your business part of your retirement plan? Things to consider when looking at your business as part of your plan. Are you selling it in full? Is it a full disposal? When I retire, I'm selling the whole thing, lock, stock, and barrel. If so, we need to identify a buyer. Who would a potential buyer be? What sort of price would they be paying? How would this transaction actually work? Is your business built around you and your IP? And if so, is there a transfer of skills to people that are in the business that will still be there when you sell? Then, is there a staff retention strategy in place that when you sell your business, the staff that are in the business are incentivized to stay for the new buyer because that affects the value of your business? So these are the things you've got to start contemplating. Is it an installment sale? When I retire, I'm going to be selling it, but the guys that buy it can't afford it up front, so they're going to be paying over 5 years. All right, who the buyers? How they're paying? Is the interest on the payment? What happens if they default? Because you might retire at 65 and at 69, when they default, have to come back and step into the business to resurrect it because they never had the skills or relationship or acumen in order to sustain that growth of that business and thus default on their payments. Do you have security against the purchase price? Have you taken possession of their shares? Have you released yourself from the sureties that you have signed in that business when you exit? You may have signed for machinery, equipment, leases, all sorts of stuff, a personal surety. If that business goes belly up and you're out, but you're still bound to surety, the creditors will come, they will knock on your door, and they will take your personal assets to settle the debt of the business that you sold. Are you going to retain your shares? Remember, some business owners work in their business as an employee, so they get a salary, and they're the owner. They've got equity. There's a very big difference between employment and shareholding. Employees are entitled to salary. Shareholders are entitled to dividends. You can't be in business with me and retire and expect to get a salary anymore because you're not doing your job. You're retired. So the only thing you're entitled to is some dividend, which is a percentage of profit. Have you got a dividend policy that you have done in your shareholders and your memorandum of incorporation? Are you allowed to retain your shares post-retirement? Some shareholders' agreements don't allow it. They say when you retire, your shares are automatically up for sale. Do you know if yours are or not? When did you last review your memorandum of incorporation and your shareholders' agreement to see if your plan will work? Because remember, the memorandum of incorporation, in terms of the Companies Act, supersedes any shareholder agreement if there's a conflict. And your shareholder agreement deals with death of a shareholder, disability of a shareholder, the sale of shares, your retirement, your dividend policy, your voting rights, your quorum, your appointment of directors, all of these statutory things that you have to know about in order to be secure in your business. That's the foundation of your business. Yet so many people we consult with have got no clue about their statutory stuff. And when we go and do our investigation for them as a financial advisor, we find massive inconsistencies, discrepancies, and omissions, things that actually contradict or don't make provision for their plan. Then we as Quattro then have to alter and amend your MOR or your shareholder agreement to allow your plan to take place. But it's something you have to do, yet it's always overlooked. And the reason being is your financial advisor is there to sell you a policy. He's not there to give you advice about your business. That's where we fit in. We have got a legal services product that we have in the Quattro umbrella called Legal Pursuit. It's a low-cost, high-value legal services offering for entrepreneurs. It allows you to have full legal in-house counsel without having to employ one. Reviewing of agreements, leases, sureties, MORs, trusts at an exceptionally low rate. And the reason we've introduced this is not to make money. The reason we've introduced it is because it inhibits our ability as a financial services company to render proper advice if these things have not been taken care of. And unfortunately, legal services are exceptionally expensive, often prohibitive, and the company just says, don't worry about it, we'll leave it, it will be fine. We have got children suing their parents as clients. We've got brothers and sisters suing each other because there's one analogy that always rings true in every culture, in every country: money make funny. As soon as there's money, agendas creep in and people start to behave wrong. These documents are your Bible. They are your 10 commandments. Thou shalt not steal or I will headbutt you. Okay. You've got to do these. And this is where we start, where you come and contract with us. The first thing we call for is your MOR and your shareholders agreement. And most importantly, your share certificate. As a raise of hands, how many of you own a business in this room? Okay. Now, keep your hands up. I want you to tell me how many of you have got a copy of your own shareholders agreement. Keep your hand up. If you haven't got a your share certificate, if you haven't got your share certificate, put your hand down. If you haven't got your share certificate, put your hand down. Okay, so there's only a few people who've got their share certificate. They're the only people that are guaranteed that their shares are there. Most people have their shares registered in-house, no share certificate registered. We've got a client at the moment that just died that was 50-50 in business. The guy died, and we just found out he's not 50-50. The living partner has got all the shares. They have conducted that business for years as though they're 50-50. And all of a sudden, there's nothing for the spouse. So if you haven't got a copy of your share certificate, get it, file it, keep it, give it to us. We keep it on your file as well. How many paydays left to your retirement? If you're 30, you've got 420 deposits that you can put into your piggy bank and you're on pension. If you're 35, you've got 360 deposits in your piggy bank, and that's it. You're retired. If you're 40, 300 paydays left. And if you're 50, only 180. Yeah, 60. The answer was the question. Question: what needs to be issued to ensure your equity is protected on your Kahoot? What needs to be issued to ensure your equity is protected? If you don't know the answer, choose C. Last question. How many specialist services companies, this is the financial services companies, were in the Quattro Group video? How many specialist service companies are within the Quattro Group in the video you saw? Okay. I now would like to hand over to my mate, Trevor from ActionCOACH. Trevor and I have worked together for a number of years, and we co-collaborate with clients. We help his clients, he helps ours, and he's going to share some insight with you with regards to business, and then we'll be open for questions at the end. And if you'd like to ask questions personally, you'll be able to do so. What does this mean? The prize. Have we got the winners yet? Can we do it? Can we do it? We have to do heads and tails. Can we do it after Trevor? Is that okay? Thought you were showing me something else. I was getting worried. Oh. Not right. Yeah. Here's your clicker, Trev. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, that's yours. Great, thank you, Gary. Is the sound carrying okay? Just a quick health check. Great. Yes, as Gary. Oh, just a quick. Roxanne just let me know. Sorry about the flashing on the technology there. So it is the session is being recorded. So if there's any of the slides that you've missed with Gary, it is actually on Facebook at the moment, and there will be a recording. So if there's any of the slides that you want to revisit, or any parts of what Gary was sharing with you that you want to revisit later, you can catch the recording on Facebook. So, but yeah, good to see everybody this morning. I think a lot of people were very keen to kind of get out from behind the scenes and get together face to face. So it's been a little while. As Gary was saying, we've been running a series of these basically online for a couple of times now over lockdown. We've been covering some of the foundation areas in building a business. And so what we wanted to talk about today is marketing. And as you can see from the title we put up here, is how you can improve your marketing results, but without breaking the budget. As Gary said, my name is Trevor Clark. I'm from ActionCOACH Business Coaching, and we work with all sorts of businesses. I think I've got the best job in the world. I help business owners make money. And we've seen all sorts over the last 7 or 8 months. We've seen people, obviously, that have been totally paralyzed by lockdown, other businesses that have done pretty well. Some have totally reinvented themselves, working with other businesses that are having record month after record month. So it's a lot of interesting stuff out there. The one common thing is that cash is kind of short, isn't it? Even the businesses that are doing well, because growth takes cash. So a lot of people wanted us talking around marketing, but people have given me a lot of feedback saying, can we talk around what are the strategies that we can implement that don't cost a lot of money? So that was the idea to hear. I just want to kind of go to a couple of marketing basics to cover that anybody can do without spending lots of money to really optimize the results that you're getting out of your existing marketing machine.
Anybody that I know quite a few people here. Anybody that doesn't know us, a quick introduction to ActionCOACH. We're a global business. We've been going 26, 27 years now. We're in over 80 countries around the world. I wish I could say it was my business. The company is actually privately owned by an Australian called Brad Sugars, who runs the business from our global head office in the United States. And you can see here, this is our global vision statement: world abundance through business re-education. We believe in abundance. There's enough money out there. There's enough wealth out there. There's enough customers out there for everybody to have a successful business. But where a lot of businesses hit a bit of a glass ceiling and don't get any further is around education. Nobody knows everything about business. As Gary was saying, we're all very expert in a certain area, but when you run a business, you need to be an expert in so many different areas. So are you surrounding yourself with the right people to help you grow the business? So we've all started our business for different reasons. And if I had to ask each of you, why did you start your business in the very first place? I guess you'd all tell me something a little bit different. Some people had a great vision on how we're going to change the world. Some people started a business out of necessity, maybe being retrenched and then being forced into business. Other people get pulled into a family business. So we all got into business for different reasons. So we need to keep hold of that, right? But importantly is we want to also remember why you have a business in the very first place. The business has got a job to do. And I love this definition: to profitably create raving fans, to create excess income. You see, I use the word excess income, not income, for investment. That is what the business should be doing. That's the business's job. Think about it for a second. Profitably. Are we making money? Have you wired your business for profit? That's one of the first things that we want to look at inside a business. As Gary was saying, when he and his team first work with a client, they'll say, give me your memorandum of association, give me all your contractual documents inside the business. With us, what we want to look at is the financials. Show me the money, show me the numbers. What are the numbers telling us inside this business? Is the business wired for profit? That's one of the first things we've got to do, is get the financial reporting in place, the company structures there. Next thing, create raving fans. We've got to get good at marketing and sales, customer service. Are we good at generating leads for the business? Are we good at converting those leads? Do we have the skills as a salesperson to get those clients on board? Once we've got those clients, we're doing everything in our power to take such amazing care of those clients, they would never think of going anywhere else. And they keep coming back for more and more. And you see the word raving fans. Your customers can be your best marketing strategy right there, is by they'll be telling other people about you, bringing you clients. And I imagine everybody in the room has got a client or two like that, right? You've got clients that literally send you people and say, you've got to work with this person. The more of those you got, you can actually do such amazing things. But too often we're not taking good care of those clients, and they either have referrals that they don't pass on to you, or they're introducing their friends onto other people. So raving fans are one of those real things that we've got to get right. And I want to talk about that now. But importantly, excess income. Too often, again, one of the first things we ask business owners when we coach them is, so what are your goals? And we get all sorts. Very often there's a kind of question mark. What goals? I want to survive this month. What are your financial goals? I want to meet payroll. I want to cover my creditors. I want to have enough money in the bank to cover that. Yeah, we're in business. We're going to work hard in business. Let's rather have bigger goals. Yes, we want to break even at very least. But are we wired for profit? Are we wired to get excess profit? Because obviously that goes to the owners. But importantly, are we investing wisely? As you've seen in the interesting times that we've been in this, how many businesses were hit instantly in the first week, first month of lockdown? Listed companies that were already retrenching retrenching staff, businesses that were hit really early. Now, that's a sign that some businesses, yes, had their lights cut out depending on the industry. But others, sometimes there were underlying issues around there. And the companies that have fared the best over the last 7 or 8 months are the companies that were able to change the fastest, adapt to change. And we've had businesses that are coming out of lockdown, totally different businesses to what they came into. And a lot of them are in this room. So well done to all of you. But also the businesses with with reserves, with healthy balance sheets. I don't know, but some businesses that had 2-3 months overheads locked away, where they could safely trade without, or actually not trade, but without trading, could actually comfortably cover all the overheads without even flinching. And the last time coming out of lockdown, I mean, this is a shopper's market right now. There's great shares available on the exchange. There's great real estate opportunities. Anybody that's still got cash reserves at this time in business, how nice to have investment money sitting there. You've got some of you might have competitors that have gone out of business. If you had invested and money put aside for rainy days like this, how nice to be able to go out and actually buy other businesses, buy other companies' stock at a crazy low price, buy other companies' databases and grow the business. That's the idea of always having that money put aside, because you never know when to do it. And then obviously the more value, the more the better the balance sheet of the business, the more you can sell it for. If your business is your retirement strategy, if your pension is kind of your business, we've got to make sure, and are you tracking every year, year on year, doing a valuation of your business and saying, is this business worth more than it was a year ago? So these are the things we want to look at. My fellow coaches and I, this is the roadmap that we take clients on. We call it the 6 steps to building a better business. If you have a system, things in life get a lot better or a lot easier. And an action coach around the world, whether you work with one of us here in South Africa, whether you engage in action coach in Canada or in Mexico or in China, there's a set process that we take our clients through. Like building a house, you start at the foundations. In our world, we call that mastery. Have you got clear goals in place? Is your financial reporting in place? Are you wired for profit? As Gary was saying, have you got all your paperwork in order? And that's why we love the relationship with Quattro, is when we have clients that need help in that space, we pass them on to Gary and his team and can actually look at all of those structures in your business. We're all too busy. Would you agree, as a business owner, you're having to do so many things in every day: marketing strategies, sales strategies, manage your team, make sure your customers get products and services on time. When do we have the time to actually make sure that our financial house is in order? So make sure you can outsource that and surround yourself with a team to do that. Once you're stable, you got your foundations right, we need to turn our attention to marketing. And that is the owner of the business's job. That's the one thing to really focus your attention on. Our recommendation is that if you really want to grow a solid business, a minimum of 50% of your time should be spent marketing and selling the products and services in your business. And if you're not doing the marketing yourself, you should be spending your time managing the people that are doing the marketing of your business, because that's how we're going to grow. Once you have a good marketing machine built that's generating cash, that's well and good. We want to get a business that's very profitable. But I know lots of business owners, and some of you might be in this space in the room, that are making lots of money, but working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And you're the magic inside that business. So if we're at that point, that's great. But then we need to turn our attention to what we call leverage. We need to leverage you out of the business. We need to look at your systems, job descriptions, your procedures, your operational manuals, organization charts, your recruitment systems, and help you systematize that business. Because at the next point, now you can start hiring good quality team members to run those systems for you. And this is that point you can start having a bit, and you get businesses that get to that point. We call it synergy. Synergy is that point. If you own the business, it's profitable, but if you take a couple of days off, the wheels aren't going to fall apart. If you get invited at short notice to go on holiday for a week or two, and you can actually do it guilt-free, knowing that there's a team in place running systems and your business is going to be consistently profitable while you're not there, then you're at the point of synergy. I use the word at the top there, results. Results is the point where you could disappear for about 2-3 months, go on a sailing holiday in Cyprus, and none of your team even notice you're not there. You walk in the office of your business and the receptionist says, "Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Can I help you?" And they don't actually know you're the owner of the business. How nice would that be? And if you're in that place, that means you've got something right. You've got a secret sauce. You should be bottling it. So our clients at that level, we're helping them expand. We're helping them franchise. We do a lot of work in the franchise space, helping improve existing franchises, as well as if any of you have a good business that you're wanting to multiply in multiple locations, chat to us. It's one of our specialities, is helping the franchise model. So anyway, what I wanted to focus on now, though, is this area of marketing and sales. Gary and I spent a lot of time in the last couple of webinars working on the foundation areas. And if anybody missed those webinars, they are available on LinkedIn and Facebook Rocks, I think on our YouTube channels, correct? So visit the YouTube channels and you'll be able to see the material that Gary and I have covered so far. But to drill down now on marketing, because I think all of us could use a few more clients, right? The whole world, the way we do marketing has changed. So I'm not going to come in and talk about there's trends in digital marketing and trends in online marketing and these new ways. They're specialists in the nuance, the different ways of getting the leads. What I'd like to just drill down on, as I mentioned, is what are a couple of things, the basics that sometimes we neglect. We often are so busy chasing new technologies and new systems and LinkedIn's new way of doing this and Facebook's new way of doing that. But if we forget some of the real key, simple things that we can do that don't actually cost a lot of money, that can increase your marketing return on investment quite phenomenally. The first thing is, and it's our definition of niche, is no price competition. Because how often do we have that where people are just talking price, 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 price all the time? People pick up the phone, they phone us and say, what does this cost? What does that cost? And if we get into that space, then, and if that's the only discussion that you're having with your clients, there's a risk there that you are probably in your client's mind at what we call commodity status. They don't see anything different between you and your competitors. And that's where then the only battleground is price. So how do you take the discussion away from price? Because all of us, we buy different things. Do you always buy the cheapest? We want the cheapest, right? We want the best quality for the lowest price. And we want that. We all want that. But we know it's not possible. So why, when we're selling, we kind of expect that we have to always give our clients the best price. So a little bit of basic marketing 101. Some of you will know this. Some of you might be new. Is we call it the consumer adoption curve. Like everything in life, we get a curve like this on the adoption curve. So any new idea, a new product, a new industry, it follows this path in consumer adoption. We start with what, there's a new idea. Let's say a new technology comes out, smartphones a number of years ago. We would have the very first people to buy smartphones would be called the innovators, right? People that have to have the new technology, the new gadgets. Think of fashion. The innovators would be the people that are in Paris and they want to be at Fashion Week, and any new trend, any new style, they'll do it. They'll pay crazy prices for it because there might only be 2 or 3 of that dress, that handbag, whatever it is, and at the cutting edge. And you pay a lot of money for anything at innovation status. Over time, the idea starts to spread, and we get then the early majority, where now suddenly we have more and more people start buying the product, but still it's only a very small portion of the market, and still the prices are very high. Think back when the smartphones first came out, the cost of, whether it was iPhones or before even iPhones, some of the other early, these sort of bricks and the Nokia communicators. Remember the big sort of, all these various elaborate phones that came out. People would pay crazy money for those because they wanted to be the first to have that technology. But over time, more and more people adopt an idea. The Chinese industrial machine and the big factories around the world start producing these things. More and more companies get on board. And with volumes, prices drop. And suddenly a business gets to the sort of majority stage. You get like the early majority or then the late majority, where now suddenly these products are ubiquitous. You can get them everywhere. All the different product providers are manufacturing them. The prices drop, and now everybody's got one. And then if you take and fashions are the same. And then obviously we get the laggards, which is the late, where at the end of a trend, there's the people that wait until something's up on sale, and there's the big tags on the end of stock clearance. People are getting rid of the old model to get the new. And some people shop, and all of us, in some areas, we're innovators, and other areas, we laggards. So some of us are innovators in fashion, but laggards in technology. Others always want the latest fashion, but don't care about technology. So think about your business. Where is your business, your industry, on this curve? If you're something new and exciting and there's not much competition out there, you can charge what you want, but it's a lot harder to find those clients around there. But if you're at that majority stage, and remember, different industries can look different. Here, this graph I've shared with you here is a bit of a peak. So some hit the majority very quickly and dip. So think of fidget spinners. Anybody with kids, remember a couple of years ago, every single kid had fidget spinners, and the early ones were a bit expensive. Next thing, they became so cheap because every corner supermarket, the BP garage, there'd be fidget spinners all over the counters. And who's seen a fidget spinner in the last year or so? They peaked. Everybody had to have one again. But then if you think of an industry like washing powder, this graph would look more like Table Mountain, right? It would go up and a long kind of curve like this. Or actually, we'd still be probably right at the center of that mountain. I'm not sure when some kind of new technology will come out where washing powder, we don't need it anymore. So the idea behind it is when we're at that commodity stage, it's that much harder to stand out. And that's why we're talking price. So how do we take the discussion away from price? Is we need to kind of reinvent this all the time. The more you're at commodity, the more you should be spending time, you and your team, sitting around the table and saying, how can we differentiate ourselves from our clients? What can we do to stand out a little bit in this space? There's a great book on this called The Purple Cow by Seth Godin that talks around exactly this sort of stuff. How do you differentiate yourself in the industry. What we do with our clients is we work on what we call a USP and guarantee system. If you can give me a shout, we'll take you through that process. But the whole idea is kind of looking inside your business and saying, what is different about us? It might be something that's already different that our clients don't know about us. Our USP, or our unique selling proposition. Other people call it the articulated sales argument. Why should people deal with me and not my competitors out there? We need to do some thinking around it. There might be an existing differentiator that really makes us stand out. That needs to be in all of our marketing. We need to shout about it, because the USP will get you the lead, will get people to take notice of you. Here's a good example. If you talk about the commodity bracket, if you're walking in a shopping center, you pass by a shoe store, and there's a pair of shoes that catches your eye, and it says whatever brand of shoes, 1,500 rand, nice pair of shoes, great. The very next store, you see exactly the same pair of shoes. The price is exactly the same, or let's call it a little bit cheaper. Maybe 1,400 rand. Which one are you going to buy? The cheaper one, right? If you take another look, you see the one that's a bit more expensive has got a sign up there saying, if you buy this pair of shoes, we're also going to throw in a pair of Nike, such and such, or maybe these socks that Gary was sharing. What are their 1,000 rand socks? You're going to get a pair of, or you're going to get a voucher for a free foot massage with the salon across the road. There's that kind of added benefit. You'll happily pay more for the one where you get that added benefit. So it's about how do you get that across in the marketing. So we need to be clear around that. Unique selling proposition will get you the lead, will get people to walk in your store. But we need to also possibly consider a guarantee inside your business. We want to talk to your clients and find out, when people deal with businesses like yours, what scares them the most? And guarantee is not going to happen. And it's not always what you think. Because a guarantee, so a unique selling proposition gets you the lead, a guarantee will get you the sale. So there might be already things inside your business. Some of you might already have guarantees that you have to offer legally in your industry. If you're offering that guarantee, already shout about it. By the way, you all actually offer a money-back guarantee. Have you heard of the Consumer Protection Act? So we need to remind people that we're going to give them what they paid for. And here's a lovely example. This is one of our American clients. It's a great case study, web design business. And quite amazing what they did in this business. They were just another web design business. And, get onto the website, or if you go Google and you look for companies doing this, you'll see a lot of different adverts. And a typical advert. What happens at the top of the advert is you'll have the company name, right? Jack's Plumbers or John's Veterinary Supplies, whatever it might be. And there's always the company name right at the top. And then further down, we'll do this, and we, and us, and we, and we talk about ourselves all the time. And then after that, there's a phone number at the bottom. So the idea around the unique selling proposition and the guarantee is actually to find out what is different about this business. And what they did is they found out what concerns their clients. They actually surveyed their clients and say, when you deal with companies like that, what scares you the most? They found the common fears and built a guarantee around it to guarantee it's not going to happen. And as you can see, at the top of the advert, they don't put their own name. Nobody cares what their name is. Your customers care about themselves. You've heard of Whiffam. What's in it for me? They want to hear them talk about their challenges, their crises. 5 questions you should ask before hiring a web design company. So they've qualified the right lead right there. Will you give me all of my money back if I don't like your design? Yes. Will you guarantee to keep my website at the top of search engines? Will you take responsibility for driving traffic to me? Will you write high quality website content? How long have you been in business? Yes, 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 yes. Since 1997. Simple changes to their existing ad produce phenomenal results. And that's no existing expense. They're already paying for the advert regularly wherever it was listed, but got the amount of new sales they could measure just by taking the advert out, redesigning it, and putting it back. And there's little things like that. So you need to look at the message and saying, what are you saying to your business? You have to know your marketing numbers. There's another key thing. It costs you nothing to measure the marketing inside your business. Do you know your acquisition cost? Are you measuring exactly how much you spend on marketing divided by a number of new customers, and you know what you're spending per new client? Once you know that, you can actually decide what you need to spend and what your marketing budget should be to buy new customers. You see, we use the word they're buying customers. Customers don't just land in your lap. You need to spend money on Google, on Facebook, on events like this, on hiring a sales team, on telemarketing, whatever's the strategy in your business. We need to spend money to buy customers. We also need to know what is your average rand sale. If you know on average what a typical customer spends per week or per month, you can then measure those two out and what you should be spending. If you measure how often your customers come back per week, per month, per year, what we call average number of transactions, we can then also help design what should your marketing budget be, because you can also think about lifetime value. Because acquisition cost is such an important thing. We need to buy those customers, but remember, you don't make money, you're not profitable on the first sale with any client. All you're doing is recovering your marketing investment. But if they're going to come back every month, they're going to come back every year, whatever it might be. So you can look at what we call either the allowable acquisition cost, which is basically the average rand sale, or your investment acquisition cost, which might mean we might not be profitable on this customer for the first month or 2 or 3, but they're going to be with us for years. So how many of if you think of the online businesses, the free trial, the free consultations, what is it that you need to do to get that client on board so that they can work with you a long time? Here's a concept that we call the business chassis. Are you measuring these numbers inside your business? Number of leads. Are you counting how many leads you get into your business every month? What is your conversion rate, which is how good you are at sales? So now we know why you had that many clients. What's your average number of transactions? How often your clients come back? And what's your average spend? If we multiply those out, we know your revenue. How are you measuring your margins? Not just your gross margins, but your net margins as well. This is what we call your 5 ways business chassis. Are you looking at strategies to improve each of these? But if you're not first measuring your numbers, how do you know when you implement strategies if those numbers are improving or not? We need to track. Remember, businesses don't speak English. Our businesses speak numbers. So are we measuring the correct numbers inside the business? But by a little 10% improvement in each of those 5 areas, you get a 64% improvement in your profit. But we need to be measuring it. We need to be implementing strategies all the time to make these things happen. Little strategies, little improvements over time get a profound impact on your bottom line. So 2 of the quick things that I just wanted to talk about. The first one, referrals, another thing that costs you nothing. So are you regularly asking for referrals? Do you know when to ask for referrals? And this is a challenge. A lot of people think, yeah, because we know the science, right, of asking for referrals. If every one of your customers gave you 1 referral that you successfully confirmed or converted, you doubled your business, right? Every customer gives you an extra customer. But too often we do it badly. Or we either never ask, or we phone the client out of the blue and say, hey, listen, have you got you tell your buddies about us, but you phone them at the wrong time. Maybe they've just received your invoice. And they're like, oh, you charging me money, and now you phone me up and you have the cheek to, it's what we call the emotional bank account. If you've made a withdrawal in the emotional bank account that day or that week, maybe that week they've had a bad product or service or a late delivery from you. That's the last time we should be asking for a referral. But whenever we've made a deposit in the emotional bank account, you've just resolved a problem. If you're a website business, you've delivered this beautiful new website that you've designed for them. And they're loving it and they're saying, man, this is the best thing we've ever seen. Brilliant. Do you have any friends that might need us? It's all about timing. Have you got it systematized? Have you taught your staff how to ask for referrals? Are your team always asking for referrals regularly? Because referrals cost nothing. Are you measuring and tracking? Do your clients know what your ideal client looks like? Have you taught your clients what is an ideal referral to pass on to you? For instance, our business, we work with all sorts of businesses, from one-person startup businesses right through to big corporates. But our typical clients, up and running businesses, they've been going for more than 5 years, bigger teams that are wanting to grow. We like growth-oriented businesses, not businesses that are wanting to kind of do a little bit the same as last year, that are wanting to do quite extraordinary things. Those are the guys we like working with. Thank them. If you get a referral from one of your clients, do you give a thank you note? Do you give a message? And whatever's appropriate in your industry. For some people, it might be a gift. For other people, it might just be a standard thank you card. Do you know what your ideal client looks like? Here's another exercise that you can do that doesn't cost money. The idea behind it is export your client lists from your database or from your bookkeeping software. And alongside each client name, give them an A, a B, a C, or a D. You know what the A's are? Great, awesome clients. They pay the bills on time. They tell their friends about you. They're a pleasure to deal with. They answer your emails and they answer your phone calls, or they phone you back when you call them. They're great to deal with. You've heard of the Pareto effect? The 80-20 principle? 80% of your profits come from these guys, but they're only 20% of your database. You've got your basic clients. They're okay. They might need help with payment terms every now and then. They might not buy your most expensive product or your most profitable product. But we've all got clients. We call them C-grade clients. Have you got a client like that where the phone rings, you look at your phone with caller ID and your heart sinks? Oh my God, it's so-and-so. Right. We need to ring fence those and do something about them. We call those energy vampires. They suck away your energy. They suck away your profits. Because they're the converse of the Pareto effect. They take up 80% of your time and only give you 20%. Now, if you haven't been very clear on working out what an awesome client looks like for you, we want to make sure that your marketing strategy is focused on finding more awesome clients. Because imagine you get this wrong and you do a marketing strategy that attracts nothing more than C clients, and your entire database is C-grade clients. You're going to enjoy going to work every day. Are you going to attract good team members to grow that business with you? So it's such a key exercise to get right inside the business. Last one, database. This is a critical thing. And we saw a lot of the businesses we were working with over lockdown, having a solid database to reach out to those clients and get hold of them in a different way. Where customers used to find you by driving past, you couldn't anymore. We had to find new ways of helping people find their clients. If you're not keeping an accurate, but not just a database of your clients, do you have a database of all the people that didn't buy from you? Do you have a database of the people that maybe worked with you? Yeah. Was that me? A database of people that didn't, that were interested and didn't buy. Those are the people that we should be reaching out to. What are the details that you're keeping? Have you at least got is it a sort of book that you keep your database? Is it on Outlook, or are you using Excel? There's some amazing modern CRM tools. And if you're in sales and you're wanting to grow a business, you don't have a CRM, a modern customer relationship manager software, you need to get onto one now. Database, that's one of the big assets inside your business that you want to grow that business through. And then how often are you keeping in touch regularly? Do you have a database where you maybe have a newsletter going out regularly, those silent salesmen? Are you having events going out regularly? Getting in touch with your existing customers, getting them back more often, but also those people, because they said no to you 1 year ago, doesn't mean they said no forever. Do you keep their details and diarize a follow-up 1 month, 3 months, 2 years later, whatever is appropriate? And that's that magic. So it's another key one on the database is make sure it's a company database, not that your sales team each keep their own database. Because what happens when your sales team leave, they take their database with them. We want to make sure it's coming into a company database around that. So I hope there's some ideas that you can work on inside the business, a couple of those that you can jump onto, maybe get your team together and have a look at. What Gary and I do, we do things like this with businesses. If ever you need a bit of help, reach out. We're happy to sit down with you. But important thing is just to touch on this is who are the advisors that you're surrounding yourself with? Too often people are trying to do all of this alone. Have you got the right team to help you and bring in the experts when you need it? And have you considered getting a coach? Some of you I know work with coaches, some of you maybe thought about it. But any top athlete out there will tell you it's the coach that gets them there. Now, for you, it's different. Some people might want to work with a life coach. Some people might want to work with an executive coach, a business coach. Some people work with multiple coaches. But where people often ask me, business owners often say to me, well, how long should I be in coaching? Or how long should I have a coach? And my answer is usually, well, how long do you want to be in business? If you ask any of these athletes and these teams out there, if you said, how long would you want to have a coach? They will say, well, if we've got to this point, how are we going to achieve? And that in sports, it's just a no-brainer. You're going to work with somebody who's going to push you and help you look at your performance in a different way. It's the same on our side. So just for your interest, we're relaunching we have our 1 year, what we call our Action Club Entrepreneurial Mini MBA that's actually launching in November. A lot of people have gone through that program, which is one of our entry-level programs, which is a nice 1 year sort of education-based curriculum to grow the business. That's relaunching in November. If anybody's interested in having a look at that, give me a shout. But obviously, where we get the best results with clients is on one-to-one coaching, where we really focus on you and your business. So if anybody would ever like to reach out, chat to Roxanne. Stacey's in the back of the room here as well to help us out. And we have a standard offer for everybody in the room. We offer a free coaching session. If you want to sit down and any of these ideas that I've shared with you, if you maybe want to kind of have a bit of a clean space to look at some areas of your business or assess your marketing plan, give us a shout, and it'll be great to sit down and meet with you. So Gary, I'm going to hand back to you. I hope everybody's feeling a bit lucky because there's some great little hamper that's going out now. But guys, let me give that back to you if that's okay.
No. All right. So we have got a tie break. We've got 4 people who have got equal score. So Roxanne's just going to shout their names out. And what I want you to do is to stand up and you're going to choose your head or your tail. And if you're wrong, you're going to sit. And then the winner will win the hamper. Okay. And I'm going to flick a little 5 Rand coin here and we'll see who the winner is. So who are the names, Rox?
Or just talk.
Here we go. Who are the
Can you
names?
hear me? Okay, perfect. We've got Debbie Berry. We have Zoe sitting at table 1.
There we go.
We have Paul from Index Property. And Brandon from On the Inside.
Okay. Well done, guys. All right. So heads and tails. Choose your head or your tail. Tail. You
Like
can't
now.
choose both, Zoe. You can't go like this. I'm a little teapot, short and you choosing head. Okay. You ready, guys? We have a head. How many heads are there?
2.
2 heads. Okay. Heads and tails. Head. We've got 2 heads. We need a tail. Okay, you're a tail, eh? Okay, Zoe, you're a head still, eh? Zoe, you're the winner, my love. Another head. Well done. There we go. Congratulations. Thank you. Trevor, thank you so much for sharing with us. That was great. Guys, the floor is open for any questions. There's no stupid questions, just stupid people. So, are there any questions that you guys would like to ask about just general business itself? We also have our head of legal counsel here, Troy Cicchetti, sitting at the table. So if there is anything that's really technical that we need an answer on, he will be able to assist us as well. Just dropped him in the deep end, Troy. Thank you. But guys, any questions, please? Retirement, business, exit strategy, buying and selling your shares on death or disability of a shareholder, old people as partners, young people. There we go. Thank you. Hi, Miranda. There's a mic for you, my love. Thank you.
Hello. I don't know how to phrase this correctly because I don't know the technical terms.
That's fine.
But there was talk about government and pensions and what's going on. Is that a good question?
In terms of, are you talking about
Them,
prescribed assets?
I don't know, but I know
Okay.
our pension was at risk.
Okay.
Oh, retirement annuities, I don't know if retirement annuities fall in that
Okay.
as private
Yes.
people.
Very
Thank
good
you.
question. All right. So firstly, I'm no expert on the topic. Our in-house, I don't know if is Gary here. Gary's here. Would you like to speak on prescribed assets? Is that okay? But just in a quick nutshell, fund managers actually invest in government bonds as it stands now anyway. And the prescribed assets really is just almost forcing pension funds to invest in what they're already investing in. But Gary's a lot more versed on what's happening with regards to prescribed assets and if and when they'll come. So Gary, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just sharing a little bit about that.
Sure, Gaz. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of media coverage of prescribed assets being, as Gaz says, the asset managers being forced to utilize government bonds in retirement funds. This was tried by the national government in the 80s, in the mid 80s, where up to 53% of every retirement fund had to be invested in government bonds, and it didn't work at all. It collapsed. It forced asset managers to look at other ways, and that's exactly what's happening right now in South Africa. As soon as the subject was brought up, the first thing that good South Africans do is say, okay, well, let's find a way around it. I don't think we're even going to get to that point, quite honestly. Where we are now, as Gary said, government bonds are already being used in income funds and in multi-asset funds across the board. And the reason for that is that they give really good yields. And South Africa, as a country, has never defaulted on a debt, not ever. So although we junk status, the risk is fairly small. The risk, I think, lies more if bonds were issued by parastatals, like an Eskom, like a PRASA, like a Umgani Water. There's definitely a ramp up in risk there, but that's not being discussed at the moment. So it was part of the ANC manifesto in 2017. It had to be brought up because it was part of the things that they were going to look at. ASISA, who governs all unit trusts in this country, are kicking and screaming. They're saying, we're already using government bonds. Don't force us to use government bonds. Because as soon as there's a prescription, people kick back against it. So I don't believe it's going to see the light of day. I do believe what might happen, and this is a positive, is that Regulation 28, which governs all retirement funds, so pension funds, provident funds, and retirement annuities, there's talk of utilizing part of Regulation 28 to allow, not prescribe, but allow investment in infrastructure projects. Now, that would be a good thing, because then the asset manager could say, well, should we invest? Should I invest my client's money in a new harbor, in a new dam, whatever the case? They would look at the financials and the prospects of that being a profitable venture, and they would invest or they wouldn't invest. So I think that's more than likely what's going to happen over the next year or so. But again, it won't be prescribed. It'll be another avenue for people to invest or asset managers to invest retirement funds in.
Thank you. Yeah, government bonds, I think what's crucial is a lot of people react to certain information without knowledge, without insight. And they're the fearmongers that love to create propaganda. But a government bond, if you invest in a government bond today, you actually get a very, very good return on your investment. So it makes financial sense to do it. But as Gary says, as soon as you're forced to do something, you kind of want to kick and scream and go against it. Other asset management companies, Quattro just being one of them, but other asset management companies have got a very similar mindset that they don't believe that prescribed assets will come to fruition. But even if they did come to fruition, I don't believe it would be adverse because they're investing, they need a stable investment that gives them a decent yield going forward. Also, another thing, when they talk about Regulation 28 or prescribed assets, what they're referring to is pre-retirement money. In other words, the money that you're saving up in order to achieve your retirement objective. Once you've retired and your money is invested, that money you can do with what you want. You could take it overseas. It's your money. You can put it all into international, or you can put it all local. There's carte blanche there. So the regulation around pension, provident, and retirement is actually designed for a real good reason, which is to protect the consumer's money, to afford them the opportunity to grow as much as they can. Because remember, we don't have a social security, we don't have a dole system, but we have got people who don't have the financial acumen to make decisions on their retirement savings for themselves. And government have tried to prescribe a methodology of investment that gives people some certainty and security. Otherwise, people lose their money. So Regulation 28 is actually a good thing in some respects, in the sense that there is a lot more restriction in terms of what you can do with your retirement savings, but it's to give you certainty, because the state do not want you to be dependent on them. So it's all good agenda. There's nothing sinister about it. We have seen people that have said, I want to stop my retirement savings. I don't believe it's the right thing to do. Guys, be practical. We've seen so many people that want to save for retirement and don't want to use the asset or the avenues that have been designed specifically for retirement because they don't have enough knowledge. I mean, I had a guy come to me the one day and he said, I don't believe in retirement annuities. And I'm like, well, I can understand my kid who's 13 doesn't believe in Father Christmas because she hasn't seen him. But this is a retirement annuity. It's actually here. So it does exist. And it's designed for a very specific purpose. The creditors can't touch it. You get a tax deduction on your savings. And you get tax-free growth. There is nowhere, anywhere that you can invest money and get a tax deduction, tax-free growth, and have absolute security on your investment. So it's a have to have in any retirement portfolio. It's not the only thing that you can use for retirement, but it's the have to have part of your retirement plan. You can still use your properties and your businesses and your shares and everything else, but don't preclude those. To give you a quick example, I pay, let's call it 45% tax. I save 10,000 Rand in a retirement annuity. SARS guarantees me 45% because I pay 45% tax, guarantees me 45% of my money back. Okay, immediately. So I pay 10 grand and I save 4,500 in income tax. You with me? So it's cost me out of my pocket 5,500, but I've got 10,000 invested. It's now getting compound growth on that, and I'm not paying 1 cent capital gains tax, income tax, nothing. It's tax-free growth. And you can't take it away from me because it's protected from creditors. So it's a have to have. Mathematically, you won't beat a pension or a provident fund because of the tax concessions on it. Okay. Is there any other questions? Also for Trevor as well on the marketing side?
I've got a question, Gary.
Yes.
This one on you. I think you just touched on it briefly. I was talking about the ABCD customer ranking. You can actually do that with your staff, right? Would you all agree that you've got A grade staff, B and C and D grade team members? You touched very briefly on things like preferred compensation. Because it's one thing I always find is I'll have coaching sessions where a client comes and going, oh my gosh, we've just had one of our staff performing team members resign. We've all had that happen, right? It's just so frustrating to the good ones go and the bad ones stay. Preferred compensation, you could talk a bit about that, how you can retain your good staff.
Okay. So there are massive skill shortages, as we all know. You can see it's evident. Yeah, we've got Trevor and I speaking today. The good guys have actually gone overseas already. So what happens is that a lot of businesses are on this hunt for talent, okay? And you find this perfect person. You bring them into your organization, and for 2 years, you literally bleed for them. You train them, you recruit, you get everything up. You've paid all the recruitment fees to the recruitment agency. They're now really at the cusp of actually starting to make business sense for you and your business. And a competitor knocks on their door and says, listen, how much are you earning? And the staff member says 30 grand a month. And the competitor says, look, I'll offer you 32,000 a month. We'd love you to join us. Now the staff member's sitting going, hey, that extra 2 grand would help a hell of a lot. So I'd like to take the opportunity. So they come back to you and they say, listen, I've been offered another job by company B and they're paying me 2,000 rand a month more. And you go, oh no, cheapers. Now I've got to go through this whole 2-year cycle again, a new recruitment agency, more fees, more training. And I'm also going to have a loss of production from this person over these years. I really need to keep them. So you go back to the staff member and say, look, I'm going to match the salary. I'll get you 32, but I really need you to stay. Okay. What you end up doing is you're creating an environment where the staff members potentially start earning more than market-related salaries. So you've got to pay market-related salaries, but if you're overpaying, what you're doing is you're actually eroding your company's ability to stay afloat. Your margin then drops. You become non-competitive and you end up going out of business anyway. But there's still nothing stopping that staff member, once you've matched the salary in a year's time, being poached by company B again. And the company B says, I'll give you 33,000. So you say, no, I want you to stay. I'll pay you 34. And then the staff member goes, hey, hold on. Every time I go for an interview, I get a salary increase. This is actually lekker, you know? So, and you get to a point where you've spent all this money. So what a lot of companies do is they put out a plan called preferred compensation. And it's a really simple example. So I employ Trevor Clark in my business. He's an engineer. I've recruited him, trained him. I've got him up to speed. He's earning 30,000 Rand a month. But I know that he's going to be a hunt for talent for a competitor. So I go to Trevor and I say to him, listen, Trevor, I would like you to stay with me. And I want to put a plan and incentive in place for the next 5 years. I'm going to take 2,000 Rand a month. And I'm going to put this into an investment. And it doesn't have to be two. It can be anything. I'm just using the example. I'm going to put this into an investment for you. And for the next 5 years, this 2,000 Rand is going to be invested and it's going to be growing. And after 5 years, if you're still with me, you'll get that money paid out to you in your hands, tax-free. So what happens now is this investment happens, this 2 grand a month is going. A year or two has passed. The competitor knocks on Trevor's door and says, Trevor, hi, what are you earning? He says, I'm earning 30 grand a month. The competitor says, I'll give you 31. And he says, look, thank you for the offer, but I've actually got 35,000 sitting inside an investment that if I leave you, I'm walking away from. And that 1,000 Rand, I'm only going to get back in 35 months. But in 35 months' time, those 2 grands would have amounted to probably 135,000. So I can't leave you. So the company B guy goes back to the drawing board again, and your employee stays in place, and this preferred compensation continues. Knock on the door in 2 years' time, same story. I'll offer you 35,000 a month. Trevor's going, listen, I've got 200,000 in my pot. That 5,000 is great, but I can't walk away from 200,000. So what it essentially is, it's what they call golden handcuffs. It's incentivizing staff and employees that are key to your business to stay for the 5 years. After 5 years, you should have been able to extract enough value from that person and build up depth in your organization, where should that person leave after 5 years, you'd be quite prepared for them to leave. If you weren't, you could then reintroduce another 5-year preferred compensation plan and say, Trevor, yes, you've got your 300,000 or 400,000 Rand out of this plan, but you know what? I still want you to stay. I'm going to continue doing 2 grand or 3 grand or 100 Rand or whatever it is that you want to do a month into your preferred compensation. And it forms a nice nest egg for him, which he can use to supplement his retirement potentially. Or after the 5 years, he could take the money and buy himself a caravan or a boat or go on an overseas holiday. It's also used for senior staff to be able to purchase equity in the business as part of an exit strategy. So you identify a Trevor who's 30 and you want to exit your business in 10 years' time. Preferred compensation can actually afford him in 10 years to potentially acquire some of the shares. If Trevor leaves my employ during that 5-year period, he forfeits every cent in it. So if there's 250,000 in the pot and he resigns and goes to company B, the company keeps the 250,000, which now covers your cost to find a replacement staff member and train them up again. So you can't lose on a preferred compensation, and neither can the employee, because if their decision to leave is that big, they will be prepared to sacrifice their money, or that's their problem. So a great thing to do. And also it helps, particularly in times where there's retrenchments and things like that, and you need extra cash, or you want to be able to fulfill a certain need for a staff member, like a loan, whatever it might be. There's a pot of money that you're able to access. You're allowed to access it only once in the first 5 years, but there is the ability to do so. If that person falls on hard times or gets very ill and can't work anymore, you as the employer can say, you know what, take your preferred compensation as well. You know, you're disabled or you've had a heart attack and you can't work anymore. There's your disability benefits and here's your preferred compensation. Thank you so much. You control that. We draw up an agreement between the employer and the employee that governs this preferred compensation plan. Okay. But it will stop you being a recruitment pot, training academy for your competitor who just literally sits back going, oh, I'll have that guy and I'll have that girl, and taking all your staff. Okay.
Thanks, Gary. And minimum and maximum value, is it something mainly for senior team members or all?
So it depends on
levels?
which investment product you use.
Sure.
There's different insurers that got different premiums, but I think the minimum is normally around about 300, 350 Rand a month, depending on the policy, and it can go up to whatever you want. There's no ceiling on how much you can put into it.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Are there any other questions, guys? Cool. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's John. Yeah, this COVID thing got me. I was retrenched. Immediately had to ask for holidays all over the place. And one of the things that surprised me was when I asked for a holiday on my retirement annuity and my life policies. I asked for information on how much was sitting there for me. And they came back to me and said that because of COVID and actually pre-COVID, suddenly your money that was worth this much is now worth this much. Now I've got a mate in the money business, and he's saying, "Dude, take that money out. It's not you're gonna lose out on this." Is that true?
Okay, so some investment portfolio. So just to explain, any retirement, I'm assuming it's a retirement annuity you're speaking of. So retirement annuity is a savings vehicle. It's just a product. Where your money actually gets invested is in what they call a unit trust. Okay. Now, unit trust is just a basket of shares that are held in a trust. So Guy Allen Gray goes along and he forms a trust. He goes and buys all sorts of shares on the stock exchange, and he puts those shares into this trust, and he manages this pot of money. And he buys and sells shares as and when he needs to in order to generate wealth and create growth. Okay. These shares are actually companies on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. All right. You also got some international ones where they've got international and local exposure. Now, in the likes of COVID, as an example, some of the markets and some of the unit trusts were affected adversely. In other words, the markets crashed. There was a global economic problem. So people's funds did lose value. But understand, in the unit trust fund, you're buying units. You're buying percentages of this pot. Okay. You own the units. So if I've got 1,000 units, okay, and they're worth 1 Rand each, I've got 1,000 Rand. If the unit price goes to 10 Rand a unit, I've still got 1,000 units, but they're now worth 10,000 Rand. So you still have your unit trusts. When the markets crashed, your 1,000 units were just worth less, but you still had them. So they dropped to 5,000 Rand from 10, just as an example. Okay. So now you've only got 5,000 Rand. So you go, oh, I've lost my money. You haven't lost anything. All you got to do is wait until the market recovers again, which it has done. So if you look at it as an example, if I go and buy Coca-Cola from the Spar for 20 Rand for a 6-pack, and then Checkers has them on special for 15 Rand a 6-pack, I haven't lost 5 Rand. I've still got my 6-pack of Coke. When the special's over at Checkers, I've still got my full value of my Cokes. Consumers, though, work with emotion. Financial advisors take the emotion out and put some rational decision making behind it. The only time you lose money is if you had sold your Cokes for the lesser amount, or sold your shares, your unit trusts, for the lesser amount. So you had your 1,000 shares that were worth 10 Rand each, you had 10,000 Rand. The value of those dropped, but you still got them, and you said, I'm out, I'm selling. Now you have realized your loss. You're only getting 5,000 out. But the people that left their money, and that money is now regrown again, have lost nothing. And they've got opportunity to continue to grow going forward. So it's something to always bear in mind. You do not cash in money because of a cycle. You don't measure an investment for a quarter. Your investment philosophy for retirement is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever your age is. You've got to take your investment mindset and take that time horizon into account. You can't make short-term decisions on long-term investments. Okay. The longer you've got to your day that you need to retire, the more risk you can take, because there's more time for the risks to drop and recover. If you're investing for a very short period of time, you can take less risk because there isn't time if there's a drop for it to recover. So a lot of it comes down to the person's age, the type of investment vehicle they've got, and the time horizon, and then obviously to look at the investment portfolio. But our stance is never cash in when the markets are down. If I said to you, Coke is R1 on discount, it's normally 10 Rand. It's now R1. Would you buy it R1? I would, yeah. Because if Coke's R1 today and it's worth 10, I'm going to buy it for $1 and I know it's going to be worth 10. I'm going to make $9. Okay. What we see consumers doing is completely the converse. They're going, oh, Cokes are 10 Rand. They're going to go to 12. Let me go and buy Cokes. When they drop to 1, they go, oh shit, Coke's cuck. Don't buy Coke. We must go and look for something else now. Sell all our Cokes. Go buy something else. You never do that. You buy on the low and you sell on the high. That's how you make money. In retirement space, you've got normally a recurring premium. So I'm saving 10,000 Rand a month. Okay. If you look at an equity graph, it does this. It's up and down like your heart rate. Okay. My 10,000 Rand I saved this month bought me 1,000 units for 10 Rand each. Next month, the unit prices have dropped because of COVID and now 5 Rand. My 10,000 Rand now buys me 2,000 units. I get more units because they're only worth 5 Rand. So you actually, when the markets are dropping and you're investing monthly, you're actually buying more units for your 10,000 Rand, which is creating even further wealth. And when that market recovers, all of those units you've bought at the discounted price have now increased in value significantly. So you've got to approach every investment also, is it a recurring premium or is it a lump sum? If I stuck R1 million in and it dropped to 500,000, I can say I've lost money. But if I'm putting 10,000 Rand a month in, when the markets drop, my fund value, the big pot, drops in value, but the money that I'm using monthly to buy more investments, I'm buying at all the discounted prices, and then I wait for the recovery, and that's where you make big bucks, because then both pots grow. Okay, so making money over time, if you look at Warren Buffett, his philosophy, it's long-term investing and the effect of compound interest over time. It's made him the wealth that he's created. But if you're buying and selling and trading all the time, you'll probably lose more than you'll ever gain. There was some statistics that Gary shared. I don't know if you remember the slide, but it was something like over a 20-year period or a 15-year period, there were like 5 fundamental days that you had to be in the market in order to achieve a certain growth rate. And if you weren't in the market on those 5 days, which were random days, your growth rate was less than half of anybody else's. So the philosophy is always don't time the market. It's time in the market that makes you money, not timing the market that makes you money. So your guy that's in money who told you to sell, bad advice. Yeah, don't sell. And one of the biggest problems we saw in COVID is people that were retrenched, instead of taking their pension money and transferring it out the pension fund and preserving it, they withdrew it because they were scared. Okay. They thought, oh, I don't have a job. I've got 2 million Rand in my fund. I need that money. And they cash it in and they withdrew it. They got taxed in full on that money. So if the guy's tax rate was 30%, he draws the 2 million out. He pays 600,000 to SARS. Okay. And he's got 1.4 million left over. Now he lives off that money for 3 months at 40 grand a month or whatever it is. 120,000's come out of it. So now he's sitting with 1.380 million Rand in his pot or 1.280 million left in his pot. He gets a new job and now he says, I must invest my money. Now he's only got 1.2 or 1.3 million invested to try and grow. Where if he had preserved the money, taken the 2 million and invested it, he would have paid no tax. Okay, left the 2 million and then said, jeepers, I need some money for 3 months and just draw out 120,000. Okay, he would have been taxed on the 120, but the other 1.820, 1.880 million Rand is still sitting intact, getting tax-free compound interest over time. So it was a fundamental error. Unfortunately, when COVID hit though, there was so much pandemonium in the market. The advisors couldn't get to the clients quick enough. because there aren't enough financial advisors in the country to support the country's needs. We had never, ever, ever been busier than we were during those 4 months in lockdown. And the first 2 months were just a nightmare. Everyone was changing this, withdrawing that. People weren't even asking for advice. They were just making emotional decisions. And it's literally decimated so many people's retirement plans. So you are lucky enough to be in this room, to be afforded the opportunity to have free consultation with any one of us at Quattro. Use us before you make your decision, because there's guys at Quattro that are a hell of a lot smarter than we all are. Like I called Gary to speak about the pension reforms, okay? He specializes in investments. So he's the guy to speak to. And we'll be able to put you in touch with each specialist to answer your questions so that you can make well-informed decisions before you make mistakes. Rather learn from other people's mistakes, not from your own.
One more question.
Yes.
I'm actually originally from Zim.
Okay.
And when everything went bang with the Zim dollar, I lost everything with Old Mutual. How can I guarantee that's not going to happen in South Africa?
So I don't think there's a guarantee on anything. Again, your investment, whatever you make, I don't know what your investment is that you've made, could be in the form of shares, direct shares, or unit trusts. Those are linked to the companies, and your growth is linked to the company's performance. Okay. So if you've bought Naspers shares and Naspers does well, you're going to make money. If you've bought South African Brewery shares and South African Breweries does well, which I think it will in December, because we're all here in December, I think you're going to make money. Okay. If the company closes, if it shuts down, then you're going to lose money. So your money's invested in the market. So to say that you'll lose all your money, you'd let me put it differently. If you lost all your money, there'd be a bigger thing to worry about, because literally every company on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange would have to close for you to have no money left if you've invested in shares. So I don't know where you've invested, but so then you'll be in unit trusts, and those unit trusts have got a basket of shares. So you have certainty that those shares, if those companies are still around, will be there, and you'll still have your wealth. So do you trust your broker? Never. Are you mad? Sheesh, luck. I think that's probably the most important question to ask whenever you're dealing with anyone in financial services is, do you trust that person? Because that person is the custodian of your wealth, your family's wealth when you're gone, standing next to you when you're diagnosed with cancer or heart disease. Is that the person that you want to be representing you and your family? And if the answer is no, then find someone else. It is really that important. If I have a client that comes and doesn't trust me, we don't do business together. I want to deal with people who trust what we say. We don't have a crystal ball, so we never know what the future holds. But what we do is make the best decisions we possibly can with the information that's been provided. And we are only as good for you as the information that you've given to us. I've got some clients that when you speak to them, they don't want to tell you all the stuff because they want to try and be mystical or mysterious and don't worry about that. I've got this and don't worry about that. We can't help those people. The more honest you are to us and the more open you are to us and the more we can understand your true needs and your fears, we're able to assist you. There are some people who don't like retirement annuities, I'll be honest. They don't want retirement annuities. You can debate till you're blue in the face and they're not interested. They will lose out on asset protection. They lose out on the tax deduction and they lose out on the tax-free growth, but they're comfortable to lose out and they've made an informed decision to do something different. That's fine. We will then work with that plan. We are not product salespeople. We're financial planners. So we'll take whatever you believe is important, interrogate it, and make sure that whatever you're doing has got all the protection mechanisms in place that you need in order for that to be as successful as possible. And we hold your hand along this journey until you achieve your retirement or death or disability or whatever it might be. And I think that's the biggest differentiator for us, as Trevor was talking about marketing, than any other financial services group anywhere. We do not sell insurance. We design plans. We architects. Insurance is sometimes used to fill the gaps. But we are around structure and making sure whatever's in your mind has been well thought through and that there's a strategy or a plan in place in order to execute that.
If I came to you, would I expect a call once every 6 months or an email or something?
Brilliant question.
Mm.
Brilliant question. Brilliant question. Okay. So I have a dentist. I have an annual review with my dentist. I go and I visit him annually to get my stuff checked out. But if I get a hole in my tooth, I don't wait until my appointment in a year's time. I phone him. So with a financial advisor, it's exactly the same. It's a relationship. So many people have got this perception that this financial advisor is this creature. It's this product. It's this thing. We're human beings. We all got the same fears, the same goals, the same aspirations, the same everything as every other human being in the world. We want to deliver the best service to our clients. So we always try and see our clients as frequently as possible for two reasons. One, to make sure that every cent you spend, you're spending in the right area. We sat with a guy this week, Siobhan and I, who doesn't need his income protection like he used to. He did when he started his business, but his business has got to a point where it earns an income with him being there or not. So he doesn't need income protection anymore. So we've reduced that. So we're reducing his insurance, but we've taken that premium and we've allocated towards where he's short, which is his retirement. So we are just juggling what you need and when you need it, annual review. So that's what we do. But the relationship is such where I've got some clients I haven't seen for 3 years because they just don't want to do an annual review. And we don't have to do an annual review. If you work at Clicks and you earn 10 grand a month as the teller, with respect, your financial plan's probably not going to change 1 year to the next for 2 or 3 years as significantly as a business owner whose wealth is growing, new partners are coming on, new products, he's buying machinery, financing stuff, buying buildings. When that happens, you got to phone us because we don't know if you've just bought a building. We don't know if you just financed a 10 million rand machine. We don't know if you've just signed surety. But every action you do in your business, there is a risk. If I sign personal surety, there's a risk. You need to phone me because I can't smell that. I won't know. So you got to phone me and say, Gary, we've just bought a printing machine for 10 million and we financed 8 million of it. What do I need to do? And then I can come and consult with you. So it's a relationship. Think of it like this. Your accountant runs your books and it's done on a monthly basis. Your financial advisor runs your books, done on a monthly basis. We need to be in touch with your accountant, your lawyer, and you on a regular basis. And it's literally a telephone call. It doesn't have to be a whole appointment. You can literally just pick up the phone. I mean, I've got clients that phone me and say, Gary, I've bought a new car. What do I need to do? Nothing. Okay. Or Gary, I want to buy a car. Do you think the Golf's better than the Vivo? We get all sorts of questions. Okay. And I don't know that answer. But the point is to say it's a relationship. So you must be able to pick up the phone as often as you want with your advisor. The insurer is the person you actually contract with. The advisor is the intermediary. He's the go-between. He just makes sure that the medication that you're taking for your problem, retirement or whatever, is the right prescription. That's all he's doing. He's prescribing what you need to do to fix the stuff. But you must have regular contact with the guys. Our entrepreneur business clients, we can see them every quarter, depending on the individual's needs. And I would contract that up front. If your advisor is Alan Spies, as an example, you said to Alan, listen, I'm growing my business aggressively. We're on an acquisition trail. I need to see you every quarter. You can book a quarterly review. But pick up the phone. So many people go, my advisor, he's useless. I never hear from him. What the hell's wrong with your telephone? You know, I don't phone and fluke my dentist because he never, or my doctor. My doctor doesn't phone me every year going, hey, Gary, come for a checkup. I just know I need to go and book my checkup. What we try and do is do your annual review the month before your birthday. because your prices are always based on your age. So the earlier you do it, the cheaper it is forever. So just remember that as well. So we try and do a birthday review rather than an annual review, but we can do anything that you choose. But bring me all your stuff. Are there any other questions, guys? So lastly, I just want to finish off by saying, firstly, thank you so much for your time. I know it's valuable. We do many of these breakfasts. We haven't done them for like 7 months, and it's been awful. This was the first one, and I'm so glad to see actual human beings, not computer screens on Zoom. So thank you for attending. You're all invited to join any one of our breakfasts whenever you want, and we pay for you to attend. We put our money where our mouth is. We believe in educating people. We believe if you're educated enough and you understand financial services, you will trust it. And if you trust it, you then have the ability to invest into it. But so many people don't understand, so they can't trust and they avoid it. And it's the biggest pitfall that anyone ever makes. We also invite you to invite any friends, family, colleagues, whoever you want. The people that invited you today, let them know. If you want to book a whole flippant table, come. We don't care. But we would like to see as many people as we can and help as many people as we can, whether they're business owners or just average Joe who would like to know a little bit more about his plan. Each business has got a different topic, and we'll be able to assist the whole way through that journey. And then one-on-one consultations, we do it at risk. If you want some help, just some advice, we will sit with you for nothing. We don't expect a cent. We'll sit with you, go through your stuff, understand what it is that you need, and we'll be able to give you some idea as to how to fix it. And hopefully in that conversation, we earn your trust and we're able to fix it for you. But if we don't, no obligation whatsoever. Yeah. Guys, thanks very much. We're going to close today. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. And the pub's open in 2 hours.